What is going on, Pats Nation? You guys already know who it is. Patriots Global here, back with another video. And in this one, I want to touch upon the trade rumors that are going around that the New England Patriots are in on Seattle Seahawks wide receiver DK Metcalf and a potential trade. Now, the Patriots actually went as far, reportedly, as to actually make an offer to the Seattle Seahawks for DK Metcalf. Of course, we don't know what that potential compensation was that the Patriots reportedly put out there to the Seahawks for DK Metcalf, but it is reported that they did offer some type of deal in a trade for DK. Now, this report is coming from the incarcerated Bob. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of him by now. A lot of reports for him are not just around the NFL, but even specifically the Patriots. If that doesn't do it for you, Phil Perry himself has even kind of gotten on this bandwagon and has talked about this topic a little bit also. Now, obviously, if DK Metcalf really is available for trade and he does end up being dealt, there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to be in on him, one of which is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs, who obviously just got rid of Tyreek Hill and have a huge haul of draft picks that they could give up for DK if they wish to do so. Now, as of right now, the Seahawks aren't looking to get rid of him. At least that's what Pete Carroll has said, but everything around the NFL is a smokescreen for the most part. You can't truly believe what anybody says, especially when it comes from players or it comes from coaches. I mean, Pete Carroll said that they loved Russell Wilson. They wanted to keep Russell Wilson around, and then they end up trading Russell Wilson. We do know that after they traded Russell Wilson, the Seahawks did say that the majority of the players on their team were available for trade, including their wide receiver, Tyler Lockett. Now, it is worth noting that DK Metcalf was drafted in the same draft that N'Keal Harry was, the same draft that A.J. Brown was. So with that being said, one, obviously the Patriots had the opportunity to draft him, but did not. But two, he's going to be in contract year. So the thought process here is that, okay, if the Seahawks cannot get a contract extension done, if contract talks go south with DK Metcalf, maybe they look to just trade him, try to get some draft picks for the rebuild that the Seahawks are going to be going through, because obviously, again, he's on a one-year deal, and if they can't get a contract extension done, it's not like this team is going to be competitive in the 2022 season, so again, might as well just move on from DK. Now, even if DK Metcalf is traded at some point this season, before the start of the season, at the trade deadline, whenever it could potentially be, it wouldn't surprise me if it's one of those things that randomly just happens. It randomly just pops out, and it's not the type of story where we hear, hey, the Seahawks are shopping DK Metcalf, and we hear about all these teams, and then they decide to trade him. It could be one of those Russell Wilson things where you don't see it coming, and then one day it just happens. Now, this would obviously make a lot of sense for the Patriots, as one of their big things, one of their big priorities, and some of the most work they've done so far this offseason was at wide receivers, both in this 2022 draft and in free agency and via trade. They're really trying to add potential weapons, looking at all options to get Mac Jones, that number one guy. And DK Metcalf, ever since he was drafted, has proven that he is a true number one guy. But that also brings up the question on, okay, well, you could have drafted DK Metcalf in the first round. You could have drafted him instead of N'Keal Harry. Long story short, you had the ability to take DK Metcalf if you really wanted him. And a few years later, 3 years later, now we're talking about you trading for him as a true number one wide receiver. Now, essentially what DK Metcalf is everything and more that the Patriots were wanting from a N'Keal Harry. A large outside perimeter receiver at 6'4", 225 pounds that can give you that jump ball ability. The guy that can also turn a 8-yard slant into a 15, 20-yard gain, but is also a really, really fast receiver for his height. Now, like I said before, he is in the final year of his 4-year rookie contract, and his cap number for the 2022 season is going to be about $4.3 million. He's also still pretty young, only 25 years old. He's still in his prime. If the Seahawks were to trade him before June 1st, they would take on about a $300,000 in dead money, and then about $3.9 million in cleared up cap space. Now, considering that he is in contract year, you're not going to get a first-round pick back for DK Metcalf. Now, if you had multiple years for him under contract, now I definitely think that the Hawks could have gotten a first-round pick. He was originally in 2019 a second-round pick, and I do believe that the Seahawks have that potential to get that second-round pick back if they do decide to trade DK Metcalf. I don't believe that they'll get a first-round pick like I mentioned, but it could be a situation where they're getting maybe a second and a fifth, or a second and a 2023 fourth or third. A trade like that would not surprise me at all. And the price for him is definitely going to continue to rise. One, with the fact that, again, he's only about 25 years old. Two, he's a true number one wide receiver. And three, there's expected to be several teams interested on him. Again, one of those teams we already know is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs, who, one, have much more cap space than the Patriots right now, and two, again, have a lot more valuable draft picks than the Patriots do. Also, Phil Perry said this himself, and I couldn't agree more, that even if the Patriots are in on DK Metcalf, even if they did actually offer him, or actually offer the Seahawks some potential package for DK Metcalf, I can't imagine that they are going to be able to outbid other teams in return for DK. Throughout his 3 years in the NFL so far with the Seattle Seahawks, he's put up great seasons each and every single year so far throughout those 3 years. He was able to put up 900 yards his rookie season. He was able to put up 1,300 yards in 2020, his second season, and in his third season this past year was able to put up 967 yards. First year, 7 touchdowns. 2020, second year, he was able to put up 10 touchdowns, and this past year, able to put up 12 touchdowns. It makes complete sense why the Patriots would be in on him. Again, they're doing their due diligence on really trying to find a number one wide receiver, trying to find Mac Jones, his guy, in all phases of the game, in free agency, trades, and the draft. And again, DK Metcalf gives them exactly what they wanted in that true X receiver. They get that Josh Gordon. They get what they wanted out of N'Keal Harry and more, because you're also getting a guy with speed. But unfortunately for the Patriots, I just can't see the Seahawks deciding to move on from him unless they truly cannot get a contract extension done. If the Seahawks do decide that they're going to trade DK Metcalf, that team is going to be absolutely screwed. The only thing holding them together is pieces like DK Metcalf, and players have already said, if you trade DK Metcalf, we're going to leave. And the fact that they already got rid of Russell Wilson and other players and have other guys available for trade on their current roster, they have more than the ability to go ahead and extend DK Metcalf with the money that they have created. I truly believe that if they are going to trade any offensive weapon at this point, especially at the wide receiver position, it is going to be Tyler Lockett, a guy who's going to have a market, not as big of a market as DK Metcalf, but he's obviously getting older. They rather go with DK, who's a younger guy, who's in his prime, and is going to make a true difference for many years to come within their system as they rebuild. But crazier things have happened, and like I said, it was reported that the Patriots did offer some type of package, so this is going to be a storyline that we continue to watch, but in my honest opinion, we've heard many stories about the Patriots being interested in this free agent or being interested in trading on this guy and being in on that guy, and it just ends up never coming to really anything. So nonetheless, though, this is something that we will watch, and I will have you covered for each and every single rumor and move that is made for this team. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that like button, and it really, really helps me in the channel out, along with commenting in the comment section below how you feel about these rumors going around. Make sure you guys let me know in the comment section below. But like always, go Pats, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.